It is Talking Reds. It is match day. We are in association with NordVPN for the rest of the season. And now they have renewed. Thanks a lot to them for backing us. Thanks to you guys for signing up with them and joining the service. And that has meant that, we can carry on with Talking Reds. Talking Reds remains every Wednesday, apart from when it's not, from now until the end of the season. So
apart from those times it's Tuesdays.
Yeah. You know how these things are. But we'll let you know.
Or the odd week when we do something else, but I would be sponsored by Nord.
Yeah. But apart from that, every Wednesday until the end of the season, Talking Reds is going to be here, which is fantastic news for everyone, for the customer, for us who enjoys doing it.
Apart from Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
Oh, yeah, we're not doing that. Don't even think about it. But we'll all have a break. Do you know what I mean?
You should do like a bloopers reel for those ones. If that's not
sadly, Mo, the bloopers stay in. and they know that better than anybody.
Yeah. We're just all our worst bits. They will be the worst bits of me stumbling over my words. Check us out, Christmas Day. We'll be live. But we are going to talk a little bit about Liverpool's game against Southampton tonight. And we're also going to do a little bit of transfer talk in part 2 as well, because these boys have recorded a gutter straight after this. And I know everyone gets excited about the award-winning gutter, so we're going to do a little bit of a preview of what they're going to talk about. And just mainly have some early fights with Rob even before he's here.
Bang into that.
Yep.
Get warmed up. He won't be able to live with us by the time we might run out of steam towards the end.
But a double act of like they've been working on this. But there is a game tonight, Mo. You were at the press conference yesterday. From your sense of Arne Slot and how he was. By the way, I would recommend everyone, when you've stopped watching this, check out Mo's YouTube channel. He does these really good roundups of the press conference. He does it from the AXA, and they are really, really good. And obviously Mo's there, so we can get a little bit of a sense of things that we don't pick up. But as a smaller section of that, what he did yesterday. How did you sense he was going to approach the game? Not in terms of like tactically, but more because it's not a huge game for Liverpool, but we are one game away from a semi-final. There's injuries, there's players we want to get on the pitch, but at the same time, he doesn't seem to enjoy winning. So what sense did you get from its overall importance?
So in comparison to previous rounds, I think he's been a little bit more open with the idea that this is no longer the top of our priority tree. I think he's looking at it as a way that's doing things that he couldn't do in the Premier League, which is to give other players minutes. And it's not so much from the point of view of we've got lots of injuries, I want to protect these people, I'm concerned. It's more of a case of, well, we need to make sure that everybody's ready if we need to call on them. And so he made a point of mentioning Wataru Endo, which I thought was not an accident. Someone asked him about James Norris and Amand Nalo, and he said pretty much that they're going to get some minutes. He even said that there's going to be some people playing in defence who you might not expect, which everyone was a little bit like, wow.
Like how left field are we
talking? Exactly. It's like, are we going to see Darwin at centre half? But I think in previous rounds, he's very much been like, we are the holders of the competition. We want to win this competition. This is an important game. The most important game is the next game. It felt like this was a slight departure from that without explicitly saying it.
Yeah, that's how it came across to me, that he's adapted to a situation, and that's what all managers should do, really. And there's a couple in the Premier League who are getting criticised for the opposite. At the moment, one of whom's just lost his job, whereas I think, you do need your principles and you do need your ideals, but at the same time, if things change, if injuries pick up, or just running, it's his first season at Liverpool, and so he's learning all the time on just how sort of tough it can be at sort of certain times. I think him having an ideal, he might have had a team in his head when we went through, when the draw was made, and it might just be sort of very different now, and that's fine. In fact, it's good.
I think it's good, but I think it is a little bit. It'd be interesting to see what's different next summer. I don't think they're going to move. They're not going to change anything now, I don't think. Around, I don't think that, for instance, there's been a bit of chat because Linders has lost his job, that maybe Basetic comes back. There's a bit of encouragement around the idea of Ben Doak. I think the flip side of that is, as soon as you get the other side of the end of Jan, the fixtures can become a little bit different, and then you get into March and the other side of the March international break. Well, actually, you don't want to be giving young players an opportunity because it's the business end, and that's how quickly it changes. And then the other part of this, to be fair to him and to be fair to the principle of the whole thing that's changed, is, well, it's easier to pick a stronger team in the third round of the League Cup because it's earlier in the season and there just isn't as much collective wear and tear.
Yeah.
So it's a really odd competition, this, where Liverpool are going to pick a weaker team than the team they picked against West Ham in round 3. In this game. That's what's going to happen. And that is not normally how any competition works, unless there's
you get stronger as you work.
And that's the theory. The theory should be, as we get closer and closer to the finish line, well, you're picking more and more first-team players. And actually the opposite's what happens. And that's also what's going to happen for Tottenham when they're coming up against Manchester United, although I think they'll go stronger than we will, and they've got a day less to prepare for Sunday, and it's worth bearing that in mind. I think that might happen to an extent for Arsenal as well, of the players who are still in it, whereas I think Crystal Palace, Brentford and Newcastle, if they're smart, are all going to go pretty strong because there's an opportunity to win something here. But the point is, why it's dead interesting is, I think that he's been really clear-eyed, Slot, since the minute he came in as to how hard this league is and how difficult the opponents are, and he's had a real sense of that. Even then, and I genuinely give him 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, the way he spoke about it, his awareness, the whole thing has been unreal. I think even then, even he now, if you got him in a private moment, might say, the wear and tear and the intensity of this is even greater than I thought. And maybe I can't do it just with 20. I was thinking I could do it with 20. Maybe I can't do it just with 20. And maybe it isn't the fact that the previous manager used to really love running them. Maybe I can't guide them through in a little bit of a way, because all it needs is some fella falls on Jota and his ribs go. And suddenly I've lost that option for an extended period of time, and I can't control fellas falling on Jota. It seems to happen too much, but I can't control it.
Yeah, maybe he needs to look into where he's lying down. For the amount it's happening. I mean, Neil's talking about it maybe being a touch surprised, but more so to learning about how intense it is. I think he's a bit surprised about what it's doing to him. He's had a bit of a joke about this. He's banned for tonight.
Maybe he shouldn't go. It is.
And I think he's a bit like, well, I thought it was calm until I walked up here, and something about the refs, something about the intensity. Maybe we're not helping because we're like, fucking tell him, Arnie. He seems to be at home when he keeps getting in trouble.
I think it's funny because there was a certain element of when he first came in and everyone was like, oh, he's so calm, he's so measured, it's great. There were some people saying, well, give him a few years and maybe we'll see. It's taken 4 months. 4 months of
an absolute kick-off.
Oh my God. And the thing is as well is that he's kind of aware of not wanting to be that guy. He's very much that's why he kind of said it in such a jokey manner. He wasn't trying to be angry and aggressive about sending that message. He still wanted the message out there, but he just was trying to do it in a more jokey way. But I think the fascinating thing he said was the difference between here and Holland, because for number one, it sounds like their bans are a lot more harsh than ours because they can't do media, they can't be anywhere near the team before or in half time. Whereas for us, you just got to sit in the stands. That's all. You can still be in the dressing room at half time, which obviously, considering the way that he's been using half time, is massive for Liverpool.
But Bob Paisley, this. Yeah. It's going to be great second half. It'll be good second half when he's been at pitch level. Imagine how good we're going to be when he's got the view. Honestly,
I've got it all sorted. I know exactly where all the holes are.
They're going to have to send a team from a stand in Mars to beat us.
Who used to do that? Was it Kirbishley back in the day? He used to sit in the stands for the first half.
But no, Paisley used to literally do 60 minutes.
Yeah.
He'd do the first half time, and the first 15 minutes, the second half, and then go down.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe it will work out in this for our favour. But I think he wanted to be there and say that his calmness is going to be the thing that gets him through. And when Liverpool are under tough times, his calmness under pressure will reinforce everything what they want to do and say, look, we don't have to worry about the emotional side of it. We just keep with our processes, etc., etc. But the fact is that there is no legislation for some of the decisions that go against you. And I thought it was very, very instructive that he wasn't just talking about decisions that went against him. He name-checked Gary O'Neill and said he was really unlucky because of some of the refereeing decisions gone against him. And I think he's just getting a sense of the fact that it's just a bit mad over here in a lot of ways. And so there are certain things where you thought, okay, well, I can maybe play it this way because of that. Now he's having to be, well, there are so many things that I can't control that I'm going to have to kind of view everything a little bit differently.
And I think it's a really interesting point, and I agree with Mo. And I think that it'll be interesting if good questions can be asked of him sort of by the end of the season or even after the season's finished. However well it's gone for Liverpool, to sort of talk us through that journey. That could be a good sit down he could do with Peter McDowell or something at the end, and almost go, this went really, really well. This went really, really well. You just weren't missing when you said that this was mad, because I think that there is a little bit of a thing. I think it's a really harsh yellow, by the way, at the weekend for him. I mean, he's also making the universal sign for ball, which is one of my favourites that anyone does on the pitch. I think you should get you an automatic pass if you make the universal sign for ball. I thought it was really harsh, that one.
He reckons he could have had 5 yellows at the weekend. So
I know.
So maybe it was like, maybe you had to point when the ref points at different areas in the pitch for fouls. Maybe it's just a cumulative thing.
Yeah, maybe. I still thought I was on his side in that key moment, I should expect. But I do think, and I think with the legs and the fitness, I think there's loads of good reasons, for instance, to let Bobby Clark go for good money to Salzburg, but maybe next year it might be, let's not do that many of them. Let's not do that many loans. Let's maybe have a little bit more of an assessment that ultimately in December there'd be, and I mean this in league games as well, there'd be worse things than being able to look to the bench and see that sub or that sub as a possibility, to see this player be able to rest some legs at this sort of stage. I think it's going to be really exciting tonight, though. I love seeing young players. I like seeing players out of position because I like to see players work it out. One of the best things, we sat together on Saturday, John, and one of the best things in the ground was literally just watching a set of really clever footballers who are brilliantly coached and have been brilliantly coached for years work stuff out, and then watch Fulham try to respond to it, and see Fulham work out a little bit. By about 60 minutes, you and me were both pairing about Iwobi in the way in which he just finds space, and he's so gifted in terms of that. You don't want him, Iwobi, as your most dangerous player, but you want him as the player that facilitates others, and he was really good at that. And I just like watching footballers do that. I think and do it through good coaching, but at times you'll have to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
When Jones plays right back last season in a League Cup game or a Europa League game, and you're like, he's fine. He's got this. It's still football, but you still get to see little things, and I like that. I like it when you get to see some of that. So I'm intrigued who we're going to get in the defensive line. I suspect it's Endo. I absolutely adore the Trent's going to play left back rumour. It's got my attention.
Did you not start that rumour though?
No. It's my suggestion, Mo. And I just want to be clear, maybe people are listening. Although it's a terrifying prospect, I suggested it, that it would be something interesting to have a look at, but it might also solve a problem or two for this one. And in the end, I think that might be where you end up here, which is that you have a little look at that. I also just think in general, like from a tactical point of view, I think there's worse things to have than if you haven't got Virgil, and we'll hope Virgil should not be travelling.
No.
Genuinely, if he's travelling in the role as captain, if you see what I mean.
He's driving the bus.
Yeah, I'll be fine with that. He shouldn't be travelling for me. But if you haven't got Virgil, there is an argument that you want the left back to be able to drop bombs in the way Virgil can. That big switch, being able to shift you 70 yards up the play, inch perfect. And I'm just dead interested in seeing it. And it might be like you see it and it's terrible. And you go from there. But I'm excited by that. All of that gets my attention.
There's a part of me that's kind of almost morbidly fascinated with what Endo would look like going up against 6'7" Paul Onuachu.
I'm into it.
Because it might just be smart enough to not have to go up for headers against him.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it changes it, and I think what you don't do is you don't get embroiled in a contest. And Endo, they could, there's other centre forwards I suspect they could pick, and Endo wouldn't get embroiled in a contest. So with this fella, you just go, no, it's all right. I'm going to worry about the seconds. I'm going to worry about where it drops. I'm going to worry about this and this. And and again, watching Endo work it out, because the one thing we've seen with Endo whilst he's been at Liverpool is he works things out. He's a clever player. It might be as a ropey first 15. But he then has a very unropey following 75.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see who he picks, and it'll be interesting to see how they come together. I'm really looking forward to the game, and so hopefully you guys are as well. Don't forget, straight after the game, we are doing post-match content. So win, lose or draw, we'll be doing it all from St Peter's Tavern on Seal Street tonight. So really looking forward to that audio and video after. Hopefully Liverpool get through to the Carabao Cup semi-final, and hopefully we get a good performance from a few lads who, like Mo said, just maybe show that they're ready should they be needed, which I'm sure they will be over the next couple couple of weeks. Big game for Harvey Elliott tonight, I am predicting, but fingers crossed for that. Okay, just want to give a bit more of a shout out to NordVPN. Like I mentioned before, they're partnering with us now, not just till the end of the year, but to the end of the season. So huge thanks to them. And one of the reasons is so many of you guys have signed up. So if you haven't yet, you can go to nordvpn.com/TAW. They've got the full list of benefits, everything that you sort of get, including 4 months extra on your subscription that you get only through our link. And also you can use it on up to 10 devices, and there is a full list of ways that you can benefit from that. But I know the main one for many of you is that ability to change your virtual location with a single click. So they've got all the extra security and stuff like that, which is brilliant when you are traveling. But it is nice to be able to go away like we are in March. More information on that in a second. But nice when you go away to still keep in touch with all your favourite TV shows and streaming and stuff like that. And then also when you're in the UK and you want to enjoy something that's maybe not on the TV, might even be hosted here, but not on the TV here of say 3 o'clock on a Saturday, but is available in other countries with the click of a button. You can change your virtual location, and with obviously access to the correct streaming services in another country.
Let's talk about the horse racing at Uttoxeter.
It's not on, fuming. Where is it? Yeah, you were able to do that. So there we go. NordVPN.com/TAW. I've been saying that for months now. You thought it'd be rolling off my tongue.
It's underneath it as well.
That's helpful. Click that. NordVPN.com/TAW. And yeah, huge thanks to them. Great people to work with, and we do really appreciate their support. But as just mentioned, we do go to Australia in March. It's all been a bit mad, Neil. I don't know why I'm telling Australia, because they've all bought a ticket.
Yeah, it's been, thank you, because you kick this stuff around for ages in the office, and it's a bit like, oh, will it work, won't it work? And it transpired, it's, if anything, it's working too well. Yeah. So we're going to Australia. We're now doing a show in Sydney on the Sunday after the international break, of the international break / Villa away / League Cup final, and we're very aware of that. We factored that into our decision-making process around all of this. So we know we'll be flying on the Friday, and we will be missing either Villa away or the League Cup final if Liverpool get there. So that is just the truth of the matter. But that's all right. We'll watch it in Australia with the Reds in Sydney, and we look forward to that. So it's a live show on the Sunday and a live show on the Tuesday, currently in for Sydney. But this is irrelevant information because both have sold out. Then there's a live show on the Wednesday in Brisbane. That's also sold out. Then there's 2 shows on the Thursday in Melbourne. They haven't sold out yet because they're not on sale yet. They'll be on sale tomorrow. Then there's a live show on the Saturday in Adelaide that has not sold out yet. So if you're in Adelaide, that's still available. Then there's a show in Perth on the Sunday that has sold out, but Hannon is working his little socks off to get another show in Perth on that Sunday. So watch this space for that. And that's the plan as it stands. So you can get all the tickets from all the places that we normally sell tickets / our social. I mean, again, I don't know why we're telling you this. You've done very well on your own. And we'll go from there. So that's what we're looking at. So it is that Thursday. I'm just sort of trying to do the maths in my head now. The Sunday's the 16th. So the Monday's the 17th, 18th, 19th. So Thursday the 20th in Melbourne. Someone's asked you to see. My PC says my battery's running low. I might want to plug it in. I mean, I might want to lash it out the window. But, you know, we'll have a debate about that in a minute or two. So that's where we're up to.
Yeah, there's 2 shows in one night in Melbourne on the Thursday. So we're doing 6:30 and 9. So that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the tickets will be on sale tomorrow. There was just a little bit of a mix-up. Yeah. So that'll be on sale tomorrow.
So just want to do the comments quick because this is about to die in front of me. Paul Whelan says he can't be arsed with 2 intense games against Spurs, Newcastle, United, Arsenal in the middle of a league title race. Imagine losing to United in a semi at this stage. Let's learn from last year. I want to come back onto that. It's pointed out that Big Ange has promised a trophy, so that Spurs may well need to go strong. Someone else has said about Gakpo. Someone else is getting stuck into the referees.
Is it Arne?
Yeah, it could well be Arne himself. There is still no extra time tonight. Yes, still no extra time tonight. So it is straight to pens immediately afterwards. The semi-final second leg, someone's asked about, it would be the first midweek of February. If they lose tonight, I suspect that's when the derby might get moved into. I think they're waiting on that. I think they also might not want to have the idea that Liverpool have definitely gone through in Europe yet either, because it's actually not mathematically the case. But I'm not quite sure about that. There's someone saying here about Wrap and Trent and Cotton Wall. I sort of agree in one sense, but in another sense I think that some people are just going to have to play and he'll get to lead the team out and all of that. I want to start off with, on these, John, just to sort of come into this. Yeah, and also gets pointed out that obviously Villa away would move if we got to the final, which means it then gets dropped into April or May, and it's already not like our April and May, back end of April and early May.
So you definitely want to get Everton in
yeah, definitely. And you want to go from there. Jayden Danns has been mentioned as well. That's the case.
Well, he's just been injured, hasn't he? So
yeah, maybe he'll get to be involved in it. Anyway, I can sort of completely agree with the idea of can we be bothered with a two-legged semi. I can also completely agree with the first leg of the two-legged semi comes before the game against Atkinson, so it's not an absolute nightmare. But the idea of the whole thing, I can understand that, and I can understand that people say that. The only thing is, you can say you can't be arsed with it, but all the Liverpool players are going to be desperate to win, and the manager's going to want to win. And I don't want any Liverpool manager to ever be picking a team for any game that he thinks isn't going to win. Hasn't got a good chance of winning. I'm not saying he's got to, he could go out tonight and he could pick the first 11.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're arguing. But I think he's got to do what his predecessor did a lot of the time. And his predecessor got knocked out of domestic cups, don't get me wrong. But I think he's got to do what his predecessor did a lot of the time, which is pick a team that's got a chance. Good chance. That's his job. I don't want Liverpool managers picking teams that they're thinking they're going to get whacked. We saw what happened in the League Cup against Villa when he had to play they played the kids because the Club World Cup thing was on. And I just think that's it's the job of being Liverpool manager, this, and you've got to roll with it a bit. So I understand the sort of the general, can we be bothered with the domestic cup? We've seen this before, but the flip side of it is Arne Slot will never be picking a team that if he writes it down, he goes, don't fancy these. If he's doing that, then he's not doing his job. It's not fair on them.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Mo, but also I think if you start listening to the lads who you want to play, you sort of end up with half a decent side already. Like, I mean, he's surely got to start Darwin Núñez, for example. He doesn't start at the weekend. He's desperate for goals at the moment, and so he's leading the line for you. You want Elliott to play for the reasons sort of I mentioned before. I think he's mad if he doesn't pick McAllister personally because he's missed two, and so do you want to throw him in cold at Spurs? Not really. So I think McAllister starts. So you've got McAllister and Elliott, who are two really good midfielders along. Who you're sort of picking on side, it probably depends on Endo, but if you're picking Endo as centre-half, then I think you're picking him with Kwanzaa, because I think you want Kwanzaa to play, and then you want Keller to play. I mean, there's a lot of good footballers there who Southampton have killed for.
And Tanner Moore.
Tanner Moore's probably the third one. So Tanner Moore's has been around, like you've talked about. The one that sort of he did keep. So if you're saying it's Morton, McAllister and Elliott, and then they're sort of feeding Darwin, then no matter how you what you do with the others, maybe you only pick one of Gakpo and Diaz and then sort of switch them round and then do something lively with the other flank. No matter what you do, it's going to end up being a decent team. You might just win, and then what are you going to do?
Well, I think it's the price of success, though, isn't it? People talk about, we don't want to look back and say, well, we could have done without that, etc. But it's the price of success. It's the same. So I asked Arne Slot about the disparity in travel between Fulham, who played once outside of London in 2 months, and Liverpool, who racked up something like 4,000 miles in the last 4 away games. And he was like, well, I hope that happens again, because that means that we're doing well.
And also they'd kill for that.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd love to be going to Girona.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the price of success. And if you're a manager at an elite team, then these are the problems that you want to have. You aren't going to be saying, I'd rather not deal with that, so I'll just throw this competition. Like, managers don't think like that. And certainly managers who have come into a club like Liverpool don't think like that. And the other thing we have to remember as well is that we don't know what Southampton are doing. Like, Southampton have got their interim guy. We don't know how long he's going to be there for. Is this going to be his only game? And if it's his only game, what does he do? Does he want to put a Liverpool win against the league leaders on his CV so he goes strong? Or does he toe the party line and think, well, we've got Fulham at the weekend and we've just seen how good they are, so maybe we need to rest our guys. So even if we're going with a team that's maybe not our strongest, if Southampton are playing their reserves, then our reserves beat their reserves.
The pattern under the previous manager was, and you can see it with Arsenal and City across City with the number of seasons, Arsenal last couple of years, is you need to get, the way you get knocked out of a domestic cup is to get a decent mid-table minimum Premier League team away. Then they can beat you, and then you can go from there. And that's not to say there are absolutely no shocks. There are from time to time, but City got knocked out by Tottenham in Tottenham's ground. That's what it took to knock City out this year. Last season, we knocked Arsenal out of the FA Cup, and West Ham beat Arsenal in the League Cup. City made it all the way to the final of the FA Cup, and they got knocked out of the League Cup by Newcastle away. I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
So that's what it takes to get knocked out. And the problem is, when we're walking into a championship team here, it was Mo said that they are still a championship team, and it can sound really cruel. And they can still beat us tonight, and if Southampton want to clip me saying that, they can. But we're realistically playing a minimum changed, 6-7 changed championship team.
You were 4-0 down at half time the other day, or was it 5?
5.
Yeah.
3-0 down inside 13 minutes.
So
Heavy.
So the idea that Liverpool can just someone can just sort of go, well, we're not going to, we don't want to win this because it causes trouble down the road. It's not there. And then you have the squad question, where, as you say, the funny thing about squads is you do end up in a situation where there are some players who are really good who need a game.
Yeah.
And then you can go, but we haven't got the depth. And you're like, well, but the flip side of having more depth than the depth that we've currently got means, well, when does Harvey Elliott play? But we need our Harvey Elliott to play in this one. I think he's going to play right wing, by the way, Elliott.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I think he'll play right wing. I think Naoni will play with McAllister and Morton. I think it'll be Darwin then up top. I think it'll then be Gakpo off the left. I think he'll have Chiesa on the bench. I don't think he'll have Jota on the bench. I think Jota's going to start Spurs, and he's getting wrapped up until then. And then I think it'll be Endo and Quansah at the heart of the defence, Kelleher, and then I'm just not quite sure what happens with the other two positions. I do think it is a little bit up in the air, but that's what we've just sort of said there. To your point, is I've just named loads of good players who are also internationals. But I also understand why there is a clamour for it. If I'm building a squad now, I would probably be really comfortable with 9 defenders rather than 8, with 7 midfielders rather than how we've started the season, arguably with 5 plus Endo and Morton. I'd probably want at least one more full-in midfielder, and then maybe a young lad. So maybe Naoni's 7 if you've bought Zubamendi, and Zubamendi's the 6, then however it shakes out, and then 6 forwards, and you're probably one of those midfielders want to be able to play up front. But then we're getting into transfer talk.
Well, we are getting into transfer talk. You guys are going to get into transfer talk. Seamless, thanks, Neil. Right now we are recording at a woman in Gutter at 1:30. You've seen the agenda.
I have.
What do you make of it? Early previews?
I think it was fascinating because whatever happens, whenever I read an agenda of the Gutter, I'm like, oh, we're talking about him, are we?
It's like getting into Rob's mind for a little bit, which fascinated to one word.
Yes. There are a couple of names who I can pretty much draw a strike through quite quickly, and I will be telling Rob this exactly during the show. But then there's a couple where it's like, oh, this is fascinating. And I think what it shows is that there are a lot of moving parts around this squad, not just for now, but I think for the future. There's a few questions over players who are integral as we sit here right now, but maybe aren't going to be even in the building 18 months from now. And some of the decisions that are being made over the course of the next 6 months or so are probably with that in mind. So it's fascinating, and I'm sure it will be entertaining for all of you as Rob kind of fights against us to the death. For me, it's a case of what are they working on already, and what are they working on for the summer, and what are they working on that might be possible in January, because they're sort of separate things. João Pedro is one who comes up on the agenda, and I'm just thinking there's just no way that Brighton are going to let him go in January. And they're not going to do that unless you give them an insane amount of money, which I'm sure Rob would be up for, but it's not his. And so whether he wants it to be or not. And so, but then there's maybe others, primarily in other countries where you might be able to force something on.
What I think is interesting about João Pedro, just to sort of preempt a little bit of what I'll say in Gutter, and where I think I will actually end up with agreement with Rob, I think João Pedro and Cunha are 2 players who Liverpool could actually have bought prior to the last moves. I think we talked on shows about João Pedro when he was at Watford. I liked him. I liked him then. I thought he looked really, really special then. And I think that Liverpool have been sticking with that idea that they want one more move a lot of the time. They want to go at the age of 23. I just sort of wonder now, certainly if they're going to knock around Premier League clubs, because of the amount of money Premier League clubs have, Brighton are now in a position, certainly in January, to hold out and literally say, we want 9 figures. If you want us to do this, it'll be 9 figures. And if there aren't release clauses in there, then I think that becomes difficult. And I wonder whether or not something we might see with the next phase of Liverpool's evolution and back to the so far unsuccessful multi-club conversation is, I think what you might see is Liverpool do a little bit more from that source a little bit earlier and go from there, and then that throws open an argument that actually, if they want João Pedro this summer, do they go and buy the next one who they like the look of and persevere with the current options? And to my point, as I made a second ago, you end up saying we've got seven for that department. now that's what we're going to run with, but we expect player X to have broken in fully by the end of the season, and we'll go from there, and then we've got better options all round? Or do you then say, no, we're gonna buy him, but we're gonna loan him out, and we're gonna control that a little bit more? But we also feel we can do that from a position of strength currently with where the squad is. And to Mo's point, I think the other thing when you think about where the squad is and the flexibility, the biggest shame in a way for the game against Fulham isn't just obviously the results, because we'd have loved all 3 points or the sending off. I was struck by he'd made a deliberate decision to start Curtis Jones ahead of Szoboszlai, and it's the first time he's done that. It's the first time it's literally been quite clear Szoboszlai's in the 2 and Jones plays higher, and we only got to see it for 15 pretty shit minutes. So we don't know at this point what that, where that's, and even then it becomes difficult to even ask him about it when Mo's in a position to do so. To me though, it was immediately striking. This is different, and I do wonder. We talk a lot, there's a lot of chat, and I understand why, about Nunez's output. I think there's a conversation for Liverpool, especially when playing at least the bottom 6, let's just almost say they're non-European teams. I think there's a question about the amount of output there is from the centre of the pitch, full stop. I think you can say, is there enough from the lads who's playing 9? Is there enough from the lads who's playing 10? Has there even been enough from McAllister when he's been playing that deeper role so far? Jones, when he's excellent against Chelsea, is coming from that McAllister position and offers genuine output. Has there been enough from fullback? You can sort of begin. This side's in great nick and we love it and we adore it, but you can begin to have that conversation. I just sort of wonder whether or not there'll always be clamour at Liverpool for the purchase of a holding midfielder. I wonder whether or not what we got to see for 15 minutes against Fulham is the start of Slot, either because of the way the market is and the options in the market, restructuring his squad, or even he's looked at his squad and he's thought to himself, well, I think Dominic Szoboszlai's got tons of qualities, but whoever plays off the front has got us. He said himself of Szoboszlai, I want him banging 15. His target's 15, and he's way off it now. There was a period where you were able to say, well, that's a stern target, but you could imagine how we can get 3 and 4, and suddenly it all feels very feasible. Now that just looks tougher, and I just sort of wonder. He's talked about goals in positions, not just the idea of players and goals, and I just sort of wonder whether or not there's something in the back of his mind saying, this is all well and good, but from 9 and 10, I need X number of goals. And at the minute, it's not there. And the big shame, the thing I'd quite like to see, and maybe we'll get to see it against Leicester, we saw it in the League Cup against West Ham, is I wonder whether or not there's going to be a few games in the second half of the season. We haven't played any of the bottom 6 at home yet. And whether or not we're going to see someone playing number 9 and someone playing an attacker. Somebody you'd write down when the attackers playing
League Cup. League Cup.
Against West Ham. Yeah, we saw it there. We've not seen it anywhere else. And I thought Jota's all-round performance when he came on in the game against Fulham, where he was so involved, and Rob often rightly sort of says with Jota, one of the frustrations is you feel like he's not in the game until he gets a chance and often scores it, but he doesn't feel like he's involved. Well, he was involved against Fulham.
Yeah, he was.
And I just sort of wonder whether or not that might be a direction of travel, either in the market or with the squad.
Loads more of that. It's going to be a good show, isn't it? And you can enjoy it as audio and video if you subscribe. So if you don't yet, you can go to theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe, or just download the app, get some free tokens, get stuck in. And also gift vouchers for subscriptions are available as well from the shop, so you can buy them. So if someone is asking you what you want for Christmas and you haven't got an answer, well, that is an answer. Or you've got a Liverpool fan you need to buy for theanfieldwrap.com/shop. You can buy 1, 3, 6 or 12-month subscriptions to all the Anfield Wrap content there as well. But I hope you enjoyed the gutters today. If you are watching, hope you enjoyed the match tonight. Don't forget the post-match content will be out straight away. Australia tickets, that wasn't too confusing, but like Neil said before, you seem to have worked it out. So available. And also want to give a shout out, we got this lovely plaque. Can you just snap that over, Mo, if you can? And we got this lovely plaque from our friends at YouTube this week, because we've hit 100,000 subscribers. I would imagine a lot of you watching are one of those. So thanks a lot to that. It really is. It's nice, isn't it?
It is. It's very nice indeed.
Somewhere.
And to paraphrase our friends at YouTube, I fancy Darwizzy to do a thing or two tonight.
Mad use. Is that what happens now? We start having banter with them, unexpected. But we'll see how it goes. So much of the Anfield Wrap has been. I think that is everything I wanted to mention. Have a lovely evening. Up to Reds.
Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore